Can you get business credit with bad personal credit? The answer is yes. I'm going to tell you 5 specific ways you can do it. As entrepreneurs and business owners, we know that if we have a clear plan, anything becomes possible. And if you can have a clear plan, a clear process to create that plan, and a way to create clarity with your partner or spouse, you can drive to amazing heights. All right. So if you're saying, hey, I'm looking to get some credit for my business, and candidly, my personal credit is a mess, is it possible? Well, the answer is yes, and I'll go through 5 specific ways you can do it. But to be very candid, the more your personal credit, especially the smaller your business is and the sooner you're starting, it's going to give you some headwinds. It's going to be harder. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but it's usually going to be harder and it's going to be more expensive. So I would encourage that you do what you need to clean up your personal credit. Don't stick your head in the sand. It's something that's going to be important. So traditionally, depending on the type of business structure you have, there's a lot of businesses that will have their own EIN number, which is Employer Identification Number, and that's something that's issued by the IRS. This, in essence, can be sort of like the Social Security number of the business. But you have to remember, when you start this and you have a new EIN number, it's like you have a brand new Social Security number. You have no credit, you have 0 history. And usually, the way that the banks or lending institutions or suppliers or leasing, they're going to want you to co-sign with that. Now, if you do, they may say, okay, ooh, credit's tough, we're not comfortable with this. There are people out there who will lend, but you have to come up with some other pieces. So the first thing we're going to talk about, if you're in a spot where you're looking at, you're building a business that's going to require certain pieces of equipment. It could be from a vehicle to all sorts of other pieces. You can do a lease. Now, usually you can do the lease, and sometimes, I shouldn't say usually, sometimes you can do a lease for, based on the business, and they may or may not want you to co-sign. Usually that may not part comes to how much are you willing to put down. Meaning, if you're expecting to get 100% a lease credit for something on a lease, unless you've got stellar credit, probably not going to happen. But if you can put 50% cash down, and they may be more willing to do that. And you're going to have to shop around, and there's a variety, and things are changing all the time. But when you think about this, if you're the lender, if you're the one who's giving you the money and your credit's not great, well, that is a red flag. So I want to make sure that I'm going to be comfortable getting it back. So what they may say is like, yeah, we'll loan on this equipment. We'll loan 50 cents on the dollar. So you have to come up with 50% of it. And they're going to collateralize that loan, meaning that you're pledging the equipment itself in lieu of not making those payments. If they don't make it, then they can come and take it. They can come and repossess it. So I did this way back when I did a cafe, and we did all of our refrigeration by leasing. Now at the time, interest rates were about where they are now here in mid-2023. And I think we were paying 24% interest, which is hideous. But I didn't have any cash, and that was the best we could do. I don't recommend that. But it allowed us to get the equipment to get in there. Then, remember, excuse me, as you move forward, you can talk with your accountant, and your accountant will help clarify, can we write these lease payments off? So that means that it gets offset by income, but you have to make sure you have income with it. So that's one area that you can build credit. The second area can be with suppliers. And when I say suppliers, what I'm meaning are, if you're getting goods or products or something from somebody, usually you can apply for credit. And if you get it, you're probably not going to get it right out of the bat, because they're going to want you to co-sign, again, with your own personal Social Security number, co-signing for your Employer Identification Number. Now, it may not start right off the bat, and you may have to pay cash. Maybe you do that for 6 months, and then you can start saying, hey, can we have 20%? Can we have 30%? Can you start building in there, because you're building the relationship and they're starting to trust what you look like. So this could be, again, using that cafe as an example, from anything from coffee to different types of goods. Some places are cash when you show up. Some places will give you credit, and they'll allow you to have your supplies for a certain period, and then you sell them, use the supplies, and you can send it back. So that's another way of looking at it. Your first is potentially through leasing options. Second, your suppliers can help you leverage up some of your cash flow. Third is you may be able to use a line of credit if you have the cash itself. You may be able to create a line of credit. And this is where talking with your banker, and actually we talk about this in the book, and then our courses at aspiringsolopreneur.com. We have full courses on how to build this with videos, and they're very affordable. But sometimes, and I've seen this and I've done this as well, is if you have a good relationship with your banker, you may go in and say, hey, Miss Banker, I'd like to create a line of credit. I realize that nothing exists right now. So what I'm willing to do is I'll give you $1,000 and we'll put this in a CD that you guys have, and then I want to borrow $1,000 against that. Now it sounds silly, and you're actually paying the bank a little bit of, it's called arbitrage, a little bit of interest in between. But what it does is you do that over 6 months and you pay it all back. It shows that you borrowed money from the bank and that you paid it back, and that starts to build the credit more and more. And then maybe next time they'll give you 120%, 150%. But looking at those and talking with different banks. But if you have a collateral of some kind, it could be through your home. I've seen people use home equity lines of credit, or they pledge other pieces of collateral, a vehicle or land or who knows what, and then say, I'd like to have a line of credit against that. But you need to have something that's there. Otherwise, the bank's going to be, well, dude, your credit sucks. I'm not just going to give you a loan. How can you feel comfortable? So collateral is, in the event you don't pay, how do they know they're going to be covered? All right, so the first one was leasing, second one was suppliers, third one was some sort of collateralized line of credit or some sort of collateralized loan where you're cross-collateralizing other assets that you have. The fourth can come in the form of rent. And rent meaning, yes, I'm willing to rent these locations, and it's actually a form of credit, and it's a dangerous one, because there's a saying that what is the one thing that a man can do to get in more trouble than anything? And it's his signature or her signature. Because you can make a signature for a loan, or excuse me, for renting a place, but you're actually agreeing, if you do a 5-year rent or 5-year lease, you've actually agreed to the terms of that for the next 5 years. If your business goes belly up in a year, they don't care. They're going to turn into Ray Liotta from Goodfellas and screw you, pay me. So making sure, I mean, it's a way of getting credit that says, yes, I agree to pay you these $400,000 over the next 5 years. But, so it is a form of credit, but you have to make sure that your business is sound and viable. And again, we talk a lot about how to make sure that your business is a no-brainer when you choose to do this. All right, the last thing, and this one can be kind of hard, but it happens sometimes, is if you're in a service business or you're in a type of business where you have some sort of forward-looking engagement with somebody, if you can get a contract that says that a company is agreeing to buy your product at this in the future, or buy your service at this, and you can go in and you have a supplier that says, yes, I'm willing to sell you the raw materials at this, well, you can go into the bank sometimes, even if your credit's a little rocky, and say, look, I have this contract that says this high-valued company is willing to buy these things from me at this price. This company is willing to sell us the middle, and I can make these products in the middle. There's times where the bank will look at that and they will collateralize the contract itself, understanding that. So they collateralize your receivables and say, okay, we may do that, but your contractors have to send us the check, and then we'll cut you a check. Again, it's unique. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes it can happen. If you have rock star agreements with people in advance that they're going to be, it makes it a no-brainer for everybody. So again, the 5 primary areas, if you're thinking about how can you get business credit with bad personal credit, are number 1, you can look at the idea of around leasing and equipment. It's probably going to be expensive and you're going to have to put money down, but you can get some credit out of that. 2, as you move forward, are there suppliers, people that you can start to work with that are going to have a vested interest in your success, and as you build that trust, they'll help you and you can help them. Third, can you collateralize something else, cross-collateralize equipment, land, real estate, something else that you could go in there, or even cash, to start building some sort of loan or note or line of credit. The fourth is, remember that rent is a form of credit, but it's one that can be a big, big liability. And then fifth, is there any way that you can create long-term contracts and be able to cross-collateralize those? So ideally you found some value. Hey, if you're interested, please go to aspiringsolopreneur.com. We've got a whole course there. Go online, self-paced, with videos. Have questions, please let us know. Subscribe to the channel, and thank you very much for watching. Keep smiling.